We begin with that high-stakes meeting between President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping ahead of the G20 summit in Bali. The men spoke for more than 3 hours in their first face-to-face meeting since Biden took office.
I want to be clear, and be clear with all leaders, but particularly with Xi Jinping, that I mean what I say and I say what I mean. So there's no misunderstanding. That's the biggest concern I have, is a misunderstanding about intentions or actions on each of our parts. So we went into, I looked at my team, how long did that meeting last? 3.5 hours. So we covered an awful lot of territory. And I must say that he was as straightforward as he has been with me in the past.
And let's bring in ABC's Britt Clennett live from Bali and senior China analyst from the Eurasia Group, Neil Thomas, for more on this. Britt, just talk me through the stakes here. Their first meeting face-to-face since President Biden took office. This is also happening in the midst of the war in Ukraine. So how crucial is this meeting and the timing of it?
I mean, the stakes are extremely high, Diane. You know, relations haven't been this low in decades, and ties have gone sour on a number of fronts, including the pandemic, including trade, human rights issues in Hong Kong and Xinjiang. So really, this is about both leaders, both countries, that's impact, their relationship goes beyond just those two countries. It impacts the entire world. This is about them getting a few things off their chest and maybe not resetting entirely, but continuing the conversation. We know that Secretary Blinken, as Biden said, will go to China at some stage soon. So certainly, you know, Biden said this is not about singing Kumbaya, but it's getting the gears going. And we just heard from the Chinese side a readout saying, you know, certain things like two sides, they may have different systems, but that doesn't mean they can't coexist. And on Ukraine, which Biden said as well, they agreed that nuclear war should not be the answer. On Taiwan, as we heard from Biden, and as well, the U.S. reiterated their commitment to the one China policy. But also the readout from the Chinese side said that they hope that that extends to other people in the U.S. government as well. So we were told to have low expectations of this conversation, this dialogue today. And certainly there are no concrete examples, concrete measures out of this. But certainly this is getting the conversation going. And I think that's really important, not just for the optics of it, but as I say, for the impact that it has globally.
Now, Neil, Beijing suspended several discussions with the U.S. after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August. So it sort of is an increasingly sensitive topic between these two. So what does this meeting mean between President Biden and President Xi? What does it mean just for Chinese-U.S. relations in general?
I think it means that both leaders are acting on their conviction that there needs to be a flaw underneath US-China strategic competition. So both capitals are pretty clear that the other is their #1 strategic threat. But both leaders, Biden and Xi, recognize that they don't want this competition to veer into conflict, because that's going to be a disaster for everyone, including their allies and partners. So this meeting has produced agreements that Secretary of State Antony Blinken is going to visit China, the first time in that capacity. He's done that to continue the discussion, that senior key leaders are going to be empowered to advance talks on issues of mutual interest, such as cooperation on climate change, on global macro policy, and on health and food security. And that both administrations are going to continue the discussion around forming principles to try and manage their strategic competition. It's early days for this new budding cooperation, and it's not going to become the dominant theme of what is an increasingly adversarial relationship, but it's potentially very important for ensuring that there's not miscalculation and that there's not any type of accidents or bad decisions made, a misreading of the other's intentions that does lead to clashes or conflict in kind of sensitive hotspot areas in the Indo-Pacific. So overall, I think the low expectations were justified, but they have been exceeded in terms of the amounts of cooperation we're likely to see now going forward.
All right, Britt Clennett, Neil Thomas, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.